Welcome to Your Town. I'm Marianne Leffel, your host for this show. I'm with the Monterey County Business Council, and what we attempt to do is to teach you a little bit about your area that you might know, or else refresh your memory so that you can experience what goes on here. Today our show's going to be about Middlebury Institute, which I think is one of the heroes of our area, or heroines, whatever you want to say. But it's I think, a little bit of a secret to many of our residents, and what they do is remarkable, and we're so happy to showcase them. So today, our first guest is Jeff Dayton Johnson, and you have been there, 5 years, 6?
I've been here at the Institute for 7 years now.
7, holy cow.
Yeah, time flies.
I know. And you came just as Middlebury transitioned from being the Monterey Institute, which a lot of people still call it.
I sometimes let Monterey Institute slip myself, that's right.
But basically, MIS
That's right.
is an institution that's been in Monterey for how long, Jeff?
Since 1955.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
It's a long time, yeah.
So how many students in the student body?
You know, it goes up and down from year to year, but it's around 700 to 750. When we started in 1955, it was a lot fewer, but it's been in the 700 plus range for a long time. Split into 2 different schools. A number of students are working on language-related fields, including translation and interpreting and localization. Later in your program, we're going to hear a little bit more about that. And then the other school is much more focused on public policy and management, international security. And I understand you have one of our students also who'll talk a little bit about her work in the policy school.
Well, I'll talk later on about an experience I just had with some of your students, but it was refreshing.
It's wonderful to hear.
It was refreshing. So what makes Middlebury really different from other organizations and other educational institutions?
I think that our faculty is different than the faculty in other institutions. They are rigorous in the academic sense. They have all the academic credentials, but they're also practitioners. We're a professional graduate school, and so our faculty are, they have one foot in the practical realm, whatever that might be, as translators themselves, as interpreters, as policy advisors, as analysts, as consultants. And so that kind of professional expertise is directly beneficial to our student. I think our students are different. Our students are idealists, but they're also very pragmatic. They want to make the world a better place, but they also want to do well and to be effective. And so there's a mix of becoming effective professionals in their work at the Institute, but also tackling the big problems of the world, making the world a safer place, a more prosperous place. And that I think is also distinct. I've been to a lot of schools, and our students really are special in that way.
And I have had interaction with many of them over the years, and I believe that to be the case. I think typically they're a little older, maybe a little more settled, a little more aware of where they want to go in life, and they're dedicated to getting there. So
I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
I think the prestige that the Institute brings to this area with the people. I mean, I flip up CNN on a Sunday morning and see non-proliferation, or see Russian, or see Korean, or see some talk going on, and then it'll say, and in Monterey, California, we have Professor so-and-so. And I love that, and I think most people just don't even realize that that's happening just right here in the center of town.
Yeah, we have our own little TV studio. It's a little bit smaller than this one, but to facilitate those interviews. And we do have a lot of expertise, and I really do appreciate being invited to talk with you here, because it's very important to me, and it's very important to my colleagues, that we're visible and active in contributing to the community. Our students, up the hill from the campus, a lot of the homeowners like our students because they rent to them, and they're a little bit older and quieter and well behaved, as you pointed out. Down the hill from our campus, our students are buying a lot of coffee and other services, and tea. And so there's an economic contribution to the community. But I think more importantly is that kind of cultural, social, intellectual contribution that we make. We have speaker series that's every spring semester, and that's oriented to the community. That's to invite community members to come hear from our experts talking about North Korea, or talking about the ocean, or talking about other areas that we work on. So I'd love to be able to be even more connected to community members and hear from them what we can add to the community.
Well, Hal and I have attended, I think, every lecture except one in the one speaker series. And the quality and quantity of information that you get in a 1 hour time frame is, I mean, it's crazy. And some of it's way over my head. I have to say that the gentleman with the little hole that won the Nobel Prize.
Right.
I loved him, but I don't think I understood 10% of what he said, because I don't have that kind of brain.
He did a good job, but so we do, for the viewers, we have on our faculty a member of the Nobel Prize winning team that won the Nobel Prize in Physics a couple years ago. And so he gave a lecture on the research that they did. And he tried really hard. It had to do with the sun's rays reaching the earth, and they built this sensor underground in an old abandoned mine. And the pictures and everything were fascinating, but the science also was a little bit hard for me to understand as well.
Well, we went home and had about a 2-hour tutorial to break it down for me.
Yeah.
But we all have what we're good at and maybe what we're not. But I'm fascinated by all of it, because I just think it's the whole piece that Middlebury brings. It's not just single focus with one topic. It's really pretty much across the board, and you have assembled a remarkable faculty.
I agree, and there are sometimes a surprising number of disciplines represented on the campus, and professional pursuits. There's also a lot of connectivity between the different programs. All of our students have to excel in languages before they get here. They have to have a certain level of language, and those of our students like Louisa, who's studying a public policy issue, have to take coursework in their issue in that language, and be able to work in a second or third language, and that brings a lot of our students together. So I think it's a remarkably rich, relatively intimate campus, and as I said before, I love it when members of the community can come experience a little bit of that rich dialogue that's going on all the time.
I try to buy 4 tickets to everything, and then encourage other people to come and kind of taste a little bit of what's there.
I appreciate that.
And each time, the people that I have asked to come, or who have actually bought their tickets, say, I had no idea. Had no idea the school was there, or, oh yeah, I knew it was there, I just didn't know what they did. Yeah. So, it's, you can kind of slap people around and tell them what they need to know, but until you can drag them in the door and let them really see for themselves.
Well, there is, I've had people tell me we're a well-kept secret, and it always, it makes me kind of cringe. I don't want to be a secret, but there is an irony that our faculty and our students go to China, and so we're from the Middlebury Institute, and we're well known because we're the best interpreting school, and all of these different agencies and publishers and parts of the government in China work with us, and our name is well known there. Or in Washington, D.C., when we're talking about international security, people know what the Middlebury Institute is. But down at Trader Joe's, when I'm talking to people in line, I have to tell them, and they get very excited. And so I'd love for us not to be a secret here in our backyard.
Well, we're working hard on that.
I appreciate that. I really do. I really do.
What makes the uniqueness of Middlebury? Is it the faculty? Is it what you're teaching?
I think the faculty. I think it's the students more than anything.
Okay.
I think it's the unique perspective that we've consistently been able to recruit really excellent students who are committed to improving the world, as I said before, while doing well themselves, and so they're driven by a mixture of professional goals and idealism that I think it affects everything we do. It affects the nature of faculty relationships. It affects the atmosphere when we're working with the staff and the administration. Working with these students, I think, inspires all of us. And I think a successful workplace needs to have a clear mission, and that mission needs to be clearly understood by the people who work there. And that's one of the things that makes a difference for us. It's for those of us who work there and are there every day. That's definitely what makes a difference. And it's something that you see when I go out and travel and meet with our alumni, no matter where they are in the world. They've carried some of that spirit to where they're working, and many of them are working at for-profit. Some are working as self-employed consultants. Some are working in enormous bureaucracies in the United Nations. But whatever the setting, I think that they bring some of that spirit with them.
You know, Middlebury obviously has been a partner with the Business Council, and the Business Council filed the trademark language capital of the world.
That's right. That's right.
And but it's interesting because Middlebury, if I understand correctly, did start because the DLI. There was a connection. Is that true?
That's right. The founder of the institute was a French instructor from DLI named Gaspard Weiss, and he wanted to start a school that put language at the center of the curriculum, like DLI, but was a civilian institution and was focused on a broader range of topics than just language instruction. So it really did grow out of DLI. And
we all owe him.
I certainly do, and we have a little plaque commemorating him in my office. The connection to this day between DLI and the Institute, between the Naval Postgraduate School and the Institute, between CSUMB and the Institute, MPC, there's a whole network of higher education institutions that the Business Council has been instrumental in keeping knit together, that each of us is a part of a larger system that contributes to this community. And language is a common theme, and we just had, as you know, the language capital of the world cultural festival last weekend, and it was great to see so many people turn out. I mean, there was food and dancing. I mean, there was a lot of good reasons to turn out. It was a beautiful day, but to see them turn out to celebrate linguistic diversity, this is really something we believe in here.
Yeah, I wandered down there just briefly because I had something else I was doing, but I mean, there were several thousand people.
Yeah, it was really,
and
it was really great.
It was like really the way it's
and
supposed to be.
And we organize it with the businesses, with the other higher ed institutions. It's really a partnership.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Now, Middlebury was really the leader in the blue economy, taking that term and expanding it and giving it some validity.
Yeah.
And I really give high marks for that because now increasingly the whole world is looking at the oceans and what they can provide to all of us.
That's right. We have a center on our campus called the Center for the Blue Economy, and it's been around for a few years now. And it's really an important place to support our students who are working on environmental issues. And what distinguishes the blue economy from other types of oceans research that is done in the neighborhood, I mean, there's a lot of really world-class institutions in the Monterey Bay area that work on the ocean, is that we're looking at the economic and policy dimensions of what's it going to take to adapt to climate change for those of us who live on the coast. What is the contribution of a healthy ocean habitat economy to the larger national economy? And that's what a lot of our students are working on.
It's huge. So let's. I don't want to not talk about really the economic impact that Middlebury makes on this whole region, because I think it's huge, both in notoriety and in just pure dollars and cents.
So when we look at higher ed as a whole in this region, the impact is enormous. And there are some institutions which are much larger than the Middlebury Institute. The Naval Postgraduate School is larger. The CSUMB is clearly a larger institution. I think for our size, 700 plus students, 90 faculty, we do pretty well.
I do too.
We've had over the years different economic impact studies done, and it's a lot of it is what our students are paying in rent, what our faculty and staff are paying to live here, what our students are paying for the coffee and other things that they consume downtown. But it's in the many tens of millions of dollars every year. And I think you also alluded to some of these indirect and not as easy to trace economic impacts, like the strength of the localization and language services sector locally, which was started by a lot of our alumni, which continues to hire a lot of our graduates, and which generates a lot of job creation in this area. And the Business Council has been a great partner in attracting firms to the area.
Well, we could not have done it without your staff and faculty, because they really were our partner
Sure.
on several of these attractions, and we continue to be their partner as we work on a few more of these. But it's exciting to see, and it's really, we are a shrinking world economy, and we need to be aware of the fact that there are people who do not speak English. Right here, probably my own house. So we really need to have the ability to be able to communicate, because if without communication, none of us are going to do very well. So
that could be the slogan of the Institute right there. Without effective communication, none of us is going to do very well. Yeah,
it's crazy. You know, I'm a big devoted fan of Anna
Vasilyeva.
Yes. And her talk on just understanding Russians and Russians understanding U.S. citizens, not government, but just citizens and citizens, was so fascinating to me. I think I heard that 2 years ago, and I'm still quoting her. So
Anna is a faculty colleague who teaches Russian language, but also teaches about Russian society and politics and Russia-U.S. relations. And it's a great example of a very important relationship, and one that's complicated.
Yes, and it's about communication and understanding.
Exactly.
Exactly. So Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we'll be able to continue this talk. Maybe in a few months we'll do this again.
We're right down the street.
Do some updates. But I believe that Middlebury is truly one of the jewels of this entire region, and I cannot thank you enough for what you do to bring it out into the community and be our partner. So thank you.
Thank you, Marianne, for the invitation. It's a pleasure.
I look forward to our next two guests and
Excellent.
dig down into it a little bit.
Thanks so much for the invitation,
So
Marianne.
thank you. So don't go away. We'll be back in just a minute. You're going to learn more about Middlebury Institute and what's going on in the Monterey Bay region. Thank you.